afternoon again. Thank you for being so patient. It's a scorcher of a day, so let's not keep the proceedings waiting any longer. I'd like to firstly welcome you to today's meeting. It's really an auspicious event in terms of where we've come from to be here today. But before we actually get kicked off officially, I'd like to welcome my colleague Almarie September, who's going to talk us through our safety and security issues.
Hi, good afternoon. Like Ursula said, my name is Almarie September and I also work for GreenCape. It's important for GreenCape to have a safety plan in place. And so in the unlikely event of an emergency, for some reason, if we can't make use of the front exit, we will make use of the exits to my left and my right. If you, the right exit, there's a gate at the Rijkersdal Primary School, the small gate. So the assembly point will be on the school premises. Okay, so if you want to make use of the restrooms, the ladies and the gents, I know there is no water in the restroom, so there is a restroom for the disabled. There is water there, you can make use of that. In case there is an emergency, I will direct my colleague Michael Webster at the back, and he will give us directions. Thank you. Michael, just look at the back, that's Michael Webster. Okay, so you can all see Michael Webster. Don't get confused. Just follow him. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for that, Almarie. Without further ado, I'd like to then introduce you to Professor Brian Williams. He's assisted us and facilitated various of these sessions already. I'm sure he's no unfamiliar face to some of you. And without any further ado, Professor Brian Williams.
Thank you very much. I think before we start with the formal part of the meeting, I'm going to ask that we start in prayer.
Can we just bow our heads? Dear Father God, we come to you and we say to you, thank you for the opportunity that was given to us for Atlantis, Mamre-Pella, Witsand and surrounding areas. And dear Father God, as we come together as one nation, as one weak community, one voice, please God, give us the surety, give us the calm, give us the wisdom to be in your presence. Father, we come to you and we say thank you that you have been with us thus far. And thank you for all the blessings that's going to come our way within further ado. Thank you very much in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Thank you very much. Ik ga zo'n beetje Engels en Afrikaans die elkaar praten van mij verkeerde. Als ik nou die zin maak, die communicatie vlakte, zo dit praten Afrikaans dat ik geschreven heb. Today's process is very, very, very important. Some of the information that's going to be presented and the system of how things are to be done to satisfy the needs of the community, that entire framework is brand new, splint as a nuwe, totale nuwe model wat geskep is. Completely new. It does not exist anywhere else in the country. So a special structure has been formulated, has been created to serve the best needs of the community. Communities such as ours, Atlantis in particular, also means what altyd gerol, was altyd a story. All the beautiful right things are said, but when it comes to implementation, dan sien ons niks. Ons sien net stof waar die ander mense weggehaal het. En dan eers is die stof. So one of the things about this process is to try and create something that has never been created before. And so when the ASEZ was conceived over a very long time through national government, through provincial government, through the people here, it was then decided that we will have a special economic zone here. And then it was decided to follow a certain process with the community and with stakeholders of the community. But this is belangrik, nee? It's not just about the individuals, it's about the organizational structures representing people. So different voices could be heard through the different structures that would reflect their voices. I'm going to ask Ursula to take us through just to remind us of the journey of what took place and what was communicated, when it was communicated, how it was communicated. But before I do that, kan die pastoor gou weer kom staan, asseblief? Staan jy staan? Is there anyone in the meeting who disagrees with the prayer that he gave? Anyone? The council noticing that? You disagree with his prayer? How many ask you to disagree with his prayer?
I don't disagree with his prayer for myself. I would expect you, other individuals also, to give them the fact as a community.
Okay. I appreciate that. That's exactly. Thank you very much for that input. So, but fundamentally, is there anyone who disagreed with his prayer? No. Is there anyone from the Islamic community who would like to also share a prayer, either in Arabic or just a short prayer? Anyone? Or any other faith group? Judaism, Rastas, Ayman? You know? Okay, can we accept that the universal message of peace that was reflected through the spiritual message speaks for everyone? And part of that message, thank you very much for that, part of that message is that we must be blessed, and that we, through being blessed, we will receive blessings. And that we must speak with dignity to one another, and we must respect each other. And when we are going to disagree in this meeting, we will do so also with God in mind. Accept that God is our witness. He's sitting here watching what we say, how we say it, and if we have love in our heart or do we have anger in our heart. So thank you very much for bringing blessings into this meeting, which is a meeting that has also many challenges. Because some people have different levels of understanding, and so from that window, they may see things a little bit differently. Doesn't mean that they're wrong, it also doesn't mean they're completely right, but together we will all see one vision as you set out what is in the best interest of the community. So I'm now going to ask Ursula just to take us through the journey of communication about the process.
Great, thank you very much, Professor Williams. So yeah, we are here today on a journey that didn't start yesterday. It's actually almost a year in the making that we have been walking on this journey. And it's really where community involvement and participation are embedded in the whole process of the Atlantis Special Economic Zone. So really saying it started a year ago. There was a meeting, a DTI held in February of 2018, where the community itself identifies the need for having a structure, a community structure. And questions after?
Most of us might understand what it stands for, but there might be one person there who doesn't understand what it is. So when you talk, you haven't spoken yet in terms of that, then please explain to us what those abbreviations are.
Thank you, very good point. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for that point. So the DTI is the Department of Trade and Industry. So let's look at what the Atlantis Special Economic Zone is. It's an economic development program, and the custodian of these is the Department of Trade and Industry. So they were here in Atlantis about a year ago, and it's at this February meeting where Atlantis community identified the need to have a representative body coming out of the community. And at that meeting, members of the community volunteered to participate. So from then, there's also been various other engagements where ministers, Davies and Wendy's Wendy hosted a business breakfast here in April 2018, and part of the walking, or rather the journey towards the Atlantis SEZ being designated as a special economic zone, various deputy ministers also hosted sessions in May. One was a career awareness workshop for young people, for them to understand opportunities, and the other was a business opportunities workshop they held. And June 2018 of June of last year, the Atlantis industrial area, or shall we say pockets of land within the industrial area, was essentially gazetted and designated a special economic zone, specifically in green technology manufacturing. So this is not an SEZ that's going to be working oil and gas. It's going to be focused on the manufacture of green technologies. In August of the same year, there was another public session, so obviously speaking around what does the designation really mean? And at that meeting, the community group that obviously was commenced in February was brought to life publicly, with women representatives joining that group, and it was formally adopted. Now this representative structure at the time was made up of community leaders who put up their hand and said they're volunteering off their time to work towards the better or the best for the Atlantis community. Now this structure was called the Interim Working Committee, and it also had representatives of the 3 tiers of government that are relevant within this whole project. Now that's obviously our national principal. The Department of Trade and Industry was represented there. Our provincial principal through the Department of Economic Development and Tourism was represented on this interim committee. And then obviously because the city, in this case, is the landowner of the land in the SEZ, the city obviously also had a representative, as did GreenCape, as the project management office or unit, if you wish, of this whole project currently. And it's really that this group then met various times. There were 2 formal meetings in the full group. There was a community focus group, also assisted and facilitated through Professor Williams, that met regularly. And the outcome of all of these meetings and the work together was a meeting on the 15th of November where this group, the Interim Working Committee, presented to the Atlantis community a terms of reference. The terms of reference, that's really the guidebook or the direction the Atlantis SEZ Community Stakeholder Network is meant to take. Okay. So from at the 15th public meeting, the terms of reference was presented to everybody, comment was received, and it was publicly adopted at that meeting. And the next steps of the process were basically brought to life. So at that meeting, the Atlantis community, and I see members of you who were at that meeting, and I'm sure you will recall how the GreenCape was given the mandate to then, as the next step, host an election for members to be nominated, or rather appointed, on this community structure. At that meeting, 3 further members also stood up for the community and volunteered to play an oversight role. So they became, or rather were called and brought to life as the Oversight Committee. 3 members who actually since then have volunteered of their time in, well, definitely 2 of their cases, tirelessly so, to really ensure that everything that is done here is obviously legitimate, free and fair. So essentially, obviously, GreenCape accepted the mandate and we started with all the planning, and we were aspirationally and optimistically charging ahead for having today's AGM scheduled on the 3rd of December. But it was also around that time that we realized that's a bit of a tough ask, and it's not going to allow due processes to follow. And so we really went to the Oversight Committee and the members of the Interim Working Committee and consulted them around what can we do. Because we can't do a rush job here. That's not going to do justice to the process, because we need to elect leadership into this structure whose integrity cannot be challenged at the end by saying, that was just a quick. So that's why it was decided consultatively through their inputs that we need to move the AGM to a more achievable date. Now that date is today, and that is why we are here today.